Hello and welcome to this Astranti YouTube video. So we sent out a survey to students who sat the operational level case study exam in August 2021, and in this video we're going to be going through their responses. So you can use this information to help you to prepare for your exam and learn from the experiences of these students. So we'll start off by taking a look at the big picture. So from this graph we can see that 43.5% of students felt that the exam was more difficult than they expected, shown here in red on this pie chart. Meanwhile, the remainder, shown in blue, felt the exam was easier or as they expected, with this survey covering both Astranti students and non-Astranti students. So from this we can see that people did often find the exam challenging, and so in order for you to be in the blue portion of the graph, that is finding the exam easier than you expected or as you expected, your approach to exam preparation is going to be really important. So to help guide you in your preparation, we can look at the experiences of the students surveyed. And we can start off by looking at what students felt went less well in their case study exam. So here the blue bars represent feedback from those who felt the exam was as they expected or easier, and the red bars represent those who felt the exam was more challenging than they expected. So from this graph, we can see that of the students who found the exam more difficult than they expected, about 33% of them felt that they should have done more theory revision, compared to just 17% of those who felt the difficulty of the exam was what they expected or easier. This graph also serves to highlight the importance of time management, and this is something that students often neglect in their revision. From this graph, we can see that both groups of students had a major chunk of people who felt that time management could have gone better in the exam, even amongst those who felt the difficulty of the exam was as they expected. So make sure to really brush up on your time management skills ahead of the real thing. We can also turn over to the next slide to take a look at what students felt went well in the exam. Well, here we can see that a relatively small proportion of students felt that the application of the theory to the pre-seen company went well during the exam. So of course, when it comes to your exam, don't forget to apply theory where relevant to the pre-seen company, and you can practice doing this in mock exams. We can also see from this graph that planning went much better for those who found the exam easier or as they expected in terms of difficulty, at 28% of them feeling that planning and structure went well in the exam, compared to just 7% of those students who found the exam more difficult. Now, of the different aspects of the exam shown on this graph, it is theory knowledge that the greatest proportion of students from both groups felt went well. However, if we look at the percentages themselves, we can still see that less than 50% of students surveyed felt that theory knowledge went well during the exam. So again, this serves to highlight this idea that theory is key and you should aim to know your theory inside and out ahead of your case study sitting. Moving on, we can also see the different things that students felt they could have revised less of, and this would of course free up extra revision time to dedicate to other areas. So we can see that a very small percentage of students who found the exam more difficult than they expected felt that they should have spent less revision time on the theory, at roughly 4%. From this graph, we can also see that some students, particularly amongst those who found the exam more difficult than expected, felt that they spent too much time on the pre-seen analysis as well as the industry analysis. So whilst knowledge of the pre-seen company is important in your exam, you should consider how much time you're dedicating to this area of your preparation. Similarly, when it comes to industry analysis, the examiner does like to see industry examples that are relevant to your case study answers. However, these are not the focus of the answers you provide in the exam, so again, this might link into why some students felt they should have spent less revision time on this aspect of their case study preparation. Now, one more key point I will make about this graph is the fact that 0% of students who found the exam more difficult than they expected wish that they did fewer mocks in their exam preparation. And in fact, just 3% of students who found the exam as expected or easier felt they should have spent less time on mocks as well. So again, highlighting the importance of really dedicating significant time to mock exams. So this is what students felt that they could have spent less revision time on. So what about things that students felt? So from this graph, we can see that significant proportions of both student groups felt that they should have spent more revision time on theory, time management, answer planning, and mock exams, with a particularly large percentage of students who found this exam more difficult felt that they should have dedicated more revision time to theory. Now, something that is important that I will highlight is the fact that mock exams are an excellent way to practice your theory, your time management, and your answer planning in an exam-specific scenario. Something else that we can note from the graph here is that a fairly reasonable proportion of students felt that they should have dedicated more revision time to improving their typing speed. So if you happen to be a person who has maybe a slower typing speed, then do bear in mind that this is something that previous students have highlighted as an area that you should dedicate some preparation time to. Now here at Astranti, our operational level case study course does contain revision materials dedicated to each of these areas shown on this graph, with the exception of typing speed. So you can pick and choose which aspects of this course to dedicate more or less revision time to based on your own individual needs, with typing speed being a bit of an extra area that you can brush up on if this is something that you feel you need to do. So bringing all of this together, what are the key takeaways that we can get from this survey? Well, first of all, I can't really emphasize enough the importance of reviewing your theory ahead of the case study exam. Time management in the case study exam is also vital, as at the end of the day you're only given 45 minutes per task in the exam, so time is of the essence. And as I touched upon earlier on in this video, making a proper answer plan can really help with this. And these key takeaways are reflected in what students told us in this survey. So on screen I also have some select quotes. So one student advised that you do as many mocks as possible ahead of the case study exam. Another advises us to know your theory and practice mocks under exam conditions. And another says it's best to get to the point and don't add frills in your answers, linking back into this issue of time management. So bringing this all together, we can again see that mocks are arguably the best way to practice all of these key skills. So do make sure to dedicate some revision time to sitting mocks and mimic the real exam conditions when you do so. So this brings me to the end of this video. I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I really hope it's been helpful for you. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also active over on Twitter and Instagram, so make sure to follow us on these platforms as well. So I'm wishing you all the best of luck for your studies and for your case study exam from all of us here at Astranti.